Flight Boss, bitch. You know, for sure. You're not listening to the Mind of an Antares Moon. Flight Boss, the Archangel Uriel, and Dolo here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, I want to talk about, see, everything is for a reason. So you need to pay attention to all number sequences. All number sequences. Pay attention to all number sequences. Now, right here, this is just based upon now. We know we can't actually count on the actual date or the actual time or anything. But you coming into this realm of reality and actually having a time and date is for a reason. You know what I'm saying? So everything is for a reason. Like that might have been the reason for you to get into it, to realize that we're not in the real time. So you see what I'm saying? Everything is for a reason. So when you look at your month and look at the date and the month that you was born, right? Add these two numbers, add the two numbers together, and then do the numerology sequence. You know, like the art of deduction. Subtract it. You know what I'm saying? Like me, my month and my day come up to the number 10. You see what I'm saying? And I need you to do this. Now I need you to realize there's only 9 numbers, which AKA we can say 10. It hold a specific strength, but once we get into like, you know, 12, the master number is 22. You know, 33, we start to get into hell dimensions. And I don't even really want to use the word hell, but we start to get into dimensions of lords and kings. Because, see, when you talk about the master numbers, the energy give you power and authority over the realm that you're in. So the realm that you in is already a lower realm. See what I'm saying? Numbers is like high in frequency. So if you're playing out a number down here, a high frequency number, and then you are that number down here, it's like double the energy, but it's double the weight. Something is added, so it's more dense. For an example, a 22 person. You know, 2 represents duality, relating. You know what I'm saying? Opposition. Now, a 22 person is that all over again. So not only are their life path relative to relating and compromising and seeing someone outside of themselves and, you know what I'm saying, understanding duality and give and receive, but now they're given the power to do this on large scales. So they actually have the opportunity to bring other people together, make other people relate to each other. But that becomes a hard task because a lot of the responsibilities based upon the affairs in your own life start to rely on you, and you start to get blamed for a lot of things that's going on in other people's lives and other people's relationships and things of that nature because of what kind of energy you're carrying. You might just carry a certain influence that you may hurt a lot of people's relationships just by them being around your energy. You see what I'm saying? And you have to have some type of outer presence of this kind of energy in order to correlate yourself within the energy. So it's like a gift and a curse, but it's made for rulership in this realm. So it's not. See, when we talk about numbers is frequencies that you add onto yourself. You don't actually have to account for these things. You know what I'm saying? As a 22 person, you can actually just resolve yourself into the number 4. You see what I'm saying? But for the most part, you got people out here, musicians and people who are into Wicca and things of that nature, and they take numbers and make them frequent, make them vibrate. So if they can give you an idea and thought on how this will vibrate, you're going to be carrying out the duties and obligations of that energy frequency, which you don't necessarily have to. You see what I'm saying? So that was just a quick rundown. I'm going to do another video because this video ain't really about that, but I'm going to do another video on the master numbers. But when we want to talk about, let's run down the dimensions real quick, because see, when you add up the your month and the day you was born, you know what I'm saying? So say you was born October 2nd, October the 2nd. That will be 11 plus 2. So 11 plus 2 will be 13. You see what I'm saying? So 13, that's the number 4. So that lets you know what dimension you just came from. You just, you see what I'm saying? That lets you know the dimension you just came from. And now in this dimension, wherever you was at in the last life, right? That was the dimension you have exceeded. So you just came from the previous dimension. You see what I'm saying? So for an example, like I said, I'm 10, right? So I just came wherever I was at when I was in my mother. I came from the 9th dimension. When I came out of my dad, right? I must have been in the 8th dimension. Went into my mother, experienced, and I got all the way to the 9th dimension. Got here, now in this realm of reality right here, this is the 3rd dimension. right? So this is the physical third dimension. But my spiritual dimension, right, is coming in as a 10. So it's just 1 with more space. So it's just 1, but instead of me just being a one-dimensional person, I'm like 1 with the totality of the experience of going through 1 through 9. Now I'm going through another phase of 1 again, and I'm doing that in the physical. See, you have to understand this. It's 2 different dimension paths. You got the physical and you have the spiritual. You see what I'm saying? You have the 9 dimensions in the physical. You have the 9 dimensions in the spiritual. And this is where balance come in. This is where yin and yang balance. The within and without balance. You know what I'm saying? The physical is the without, the external. The within is the inner. Is the spiritual realm. You see what I'm saying? So this is where we get the balance scale from. Now, like I was saying in my previous videos, you could be ascendant and descendant physically, externally. And then you could be ascendant and descendant spiritually, internally. And they don't even have to be a chord on each other. So you have to learn how to balance those realms. So you can go to my previous videos for that. But for the most part, getting into the understanding of the dimensions, this lets you know where you just came from. You see what I'm saying? So this lets you know what kind of conscious awareness you're gonna have in this realm. So since I just came from, like, my month and my day come up to the number 10, right? Then that let me know I'm 1 with more space. So this is my first time in this realm, right? But I got a whole totality of experience from another realm. But this is my first time in this realm because it's 1 again. You see what I'm saying? But since I got a 0 added to it, it's 1 with more space. So I did a completion somewhere else, and I'm here to take all that wisdom and share it here. From the beginning, though. From the beginning singularity. Now let's run. Now this is the actual energies you're going to be actually carrying out once you understand this. Let's go through 1 through 10. Right? Now 1, that's you're going to have to deal with a lot of selfishness, singularity, understanding things by yourself, but being self-sufficient and being self-ordained. You see what I'm saying? And being self-contained. Now, so you may be selfish, but you have to learn how to not be selfish. So that's like the 1 degree. That's like the 1 dimensional. You know what I'm saying? You may be direct minded, you know, single minded and things of that nature. Now, number 2, that's duality. You have to learn how to relate. Or you're here to relate, or you may be too relatable to the point that you may have to learn how to be yourself a little more, or learn how to accommodate yourself within the surroundings. But don't just be too passive and give yourself to another person or something outside of you, or a mirror. You see what I'm saying? So that's number 2. A person that think about the other, think about relationship, think about duality, think about compromising all the time. That's the second energy. You know what I'm saying? Third dimensional energy is your surroundings. 3D. What's 3D? What's around you? How you could do a 360. You know what I'm saying? Your surroundings. So you knowing where you at. You knowing your location. Now, 4th dimension is judging your surroundings, learning your surroundings, learning about the rotation and what goes on in your actual surroundings. That's the 4th dimension. You see what I'm saying? See, when we talk about dimensions, these are just perceptions. When you take the physical vessel of a being within these dimensions, you will be able to have the eyes to see it specifically in reality from that perception. But right now, you could see the 3D perception because you have a 3D vessel. But you can only perceive the 4th dimension because you have 4th dimensional vessels outside of you that's rotating and shit like that you can calculate time. You can only perceive the 5th dimension because we're going to get into it. Now look, this is the 3rd dimension. So your surroundings. Now the 4th dimension is learning your surroundings. So anytime you learn about time, you learn about rotation, gravity, you learn about the things that's going on within your surroundings, like you learn about a situation that so look, your surroundings would be your neighborhood and your household. That's 3D. The 4th dimension would be learning about it, learning your neighbors, learning what goes on in your neighborhood, learning how things work, learning what kind of friends. See, that's the 4th dimension. You see what I'm saying? Learning the time, learning things outside of you. That's 4th dimensional vessels. So 5th dimension is when you're utilizing your authority. So once you have learned something in the surroundings, now you play your part in it. You play your perspective in it. This how it appears to you. This is your actions of what you have learned in the surroundings. So if you are in a neighborhood, third dimension, your surroundings, and then you start to go through situations in your neighborhood, fourth dimension, and then you learn what to do and what not to do, fifth dimension is putting that into action, utilizing your authority in your surroundings. So you know who to not let play with you, and you know who you got your friends with. You utilizing your actions now. You saying you utilizing your actions. So that's fifth dimension. So if you was a planet, which is a fifth dimensional vessel, that's one above an oversoul. Fourth dimension is an oversoul. A planet, right? They utilize their authority in the surrounding, right? So the planets dictate the time. They dictate the time. You see what I'm saying? If a planet was to go drift off somewhere else, we would have to calculate time a little different. You see what I'm saying? So they utilize their authority in the surroundings. Now the sixth dimension is a sun, a star, but let's just talk about it from a mind state of a dimensional perspective. Sixth dimension is becoming a judge. So after you utilizing your authority, that's like becoming an OG. That's like you already utilized your authority. You know what or what not to do. People have to come to you to know what to do. People have to see your actions to know how to act, or to know how to be seen, or to be consciously aware of certain things depending on the vibration. So that's the sixth dimension, becoming the judge of the surroundings. Seventh dimension, utilizing your authority of being a judge. So if you're a good judge or a bad judge, this is where the angel number come in. This is where the powerful number of the 7 come in, and things of that nature. And solar system shit. The eighth dimension is sitting in your fruits of labor. You see what I'm saying? Experiencing your fruits and labor. Experiencing the time within your fruits and labor of what you have created. So eighth dimension is like infinity. It's like a lot of people who come in as number 8, people who work hard to receive what they got from a previous life, because they don't see life in no other way. So they want to forever soak in their fruits and labor. This is people who get rich fast, people who do things fast. But for the most part, eighth dimension is like a person who don't quite want to leave, but they got an understanding of how everything works within the realm. So this is a number 8 person. Number 8 person is a person who likes to create things and soak. So these people could overindulge. If they small-minded, they only create little things in their life, so they overindulge in that. But if they large-minded, you know what I'm saying, they create big things in their life, but they don't let it go. They like to soak in it. You see what I'm saying? And they could go through emotions and feelings. And then ninth dimension, that's having wisdom and having supreme knowledge over a totality of an experience. So whatever experience it is, you have certain wisdom and knowledge on what to do and what not to do within that realm. And you can kind of see other people who fall short where you wouldn't even fall short, because it's like you may not have experience, you may have not did it, but you experienced it in some way, shape, or form in your life already. So you know how to take every perception in your life and shape it and form it into every kind of experience and situation, to the point that you don't even have to experience that. You just have enough wisdom and knowledge on how that energy was received and gave, and how it was experienced it in the first place, to the point that it's almost like you did experience it without experiencing it. So this is like, so knowing how. And then 10 is after 9. So it's like you did a totality of something wherever you was at, and then now you're here to start fresh again with more to you, more power, more energy, more memory, because 0 is just more space. So any number that's before 0 is just that number, more of it, more of that number. That number could cover more space, more circumference. It has more memory to it, more experience. You see what I'm saying? So if you just came in as a 1, a 10, I would be a 1 with more space. So we would get along, but I would be able to tell you where you may be too selfish, you may be too single-minded, and you may be too direct. And you see what I'm saying? But you will be able to tell me when I'm trying to be too wise, and when I need to be more direct, and when I need to be less of myself, and things of that nature. See what I'm saying? Because the selfishness I'm coming to you about will be from another dimension, and the selfish you coming to me about will be in this dimension. So the things I'm thinking from a singularity, whole totality selfish point of view, I'm thinking the whole world, all of us should be selfish to our nature, and then you're just a number 1 here, and you telling me no, you need to be selfish to yourself and not include as everybody as one. You see what I'm saying? So there's a gift and a curse to both, but we both here to help each other. You see what I'm saying? Now, like I said, if you come in as 12, you know that's 3. You know what I'm saying? So that lets you know you just came from the second dimension. You see what I'm saying? You came from the second dimension. Now the second dimension represents duality and being relative. Now you need to know how to take all that energy, right, and apply it into your surroundings. So you may experience a lot of situations in this life of things being unrelatable in your surroundings, uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? You can't bring people together. People, you may have one friend that don't like this friend. It's like nothing is in harmony, and then you're here to bring it in harmony in some type of way. So you don't have to experience those energies in your life. You come here, a number 7 person. That means you just came from the 6th dimension. So you was the judge in your surroundings. So you here now to utilize your judging. So don't be going along with the crowd, going along with the flow, thinking that you're just trying to be a part of something. No, utilize your ability to judge. Because 9 times out of 10, if you are this number, and then you based upon you adding up your day of the month and your month number, like say you was born December 4th, that's 12 plus 4. You know what I'm saying? So that'd be 13, 14, 15, 6, that's 16. That's number 7, like I said. So now that'd be the number 7 person. So if you come in as a number 7 person, you just left from number 6. So you came from the life wherever you was just at when you came from out of your mother. You came from this, you raised all the way to the 6th dimension, to the point that you became the judge of your surroundings. So you have that power here, but now you're here to do that in the best way, because you may have died or whatever you have did in the previous life based upon something you didn't do right when you was the judge. So now you're here to experience that and be a better judge. You see what I'm saying? Because you already got the power of judging people. Now you have to be the better judge. So now you can't just be going along with people based upon certain experience that you experienced in a previous life, thinking like, man, that's when it was fun and stuff like that. I don't necessarily want to get into any uncomfortable situation now. No. You know what I'm saying? You kind of got to get out of that now and then learn to judge, because you always going to have a sense of, man, I know I ain't supposed to be doing this, or girl, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but you know what I'm saying? That's where that word "but" came from. That's why a lot of shit come out of butts. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of bullshit. So you have to kick that in. But you have to understand this is how things work, and you have to be the better judge. So anytime you judge a situation and you didn't judge it to the best way that you know you're supposed to judge it, you will witness energies from that circumstance or situation that you will feel like you was at fault. You would know it, and you may even experience woes and woes out of that situation. You would know it, because then you'll know, like, dang, okay, I came from being a judge, and I'm here as a number. I was born through number 7. And I'm not talking about your actual numerology. I'm just talking about if you just add the month and just the day itself. We're not talking about your name and the year. We talk about what you came in. This is what you came in. You know what I'm saying? Because the year, that's debatable. But the month and the day, that's a little bit more, I don't want to say accurate, but that's a little bit more pinpointy. You know what I'm saying? Because who knows if it was 1992 when you was born? Just because it says 1992. Same way, who knows it was that month and that day? But at least the month and the day is something that's more connecting to the human vibrations. At least your mother can be like, okay, this was the day. And that doesn't necessarily always involve with year. You see what I'm saying? So the day and the number itself, regardless if it was the real space we was in or not, you just need to understand that everything is for a reason. And if it's those numbers, then that's what it is. Flight boss, bitch. Goddamn air. Hee hee.